Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I am really excited for today's show titled Chasing Greatness, Success Unhacked. And the reason why I'm decided to do this show is because we're all chasing success, but the path that we take sometimes becomes a struggling path because we don't realize the greatness that we have inside. So my guest today and I, we're going to be talking about this book, Think and Grow Rich, because in here, the 17 principles, and we'll go over the 17 principles, are really what helps us, or help myself and my guest to get unhacked. And he's the expert in unhacked because that's his background. So I'm going to welcome, and he's here again, Albert. Well, welcome.
Thank you,
the King
Gigi.
of Unhacked. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. I truly feel we've made a beautiful connection at the Napoleon Hill Institute, and we really truly went down this path of chasing greatness. But everyone knows my story, and I'll let everyone hear your story and how we can really help the audience to understand, what we experienced and where we are today, and why it's so, these principles are truly what governs our life if we can embrace them and apply them in our everyday lives.
Wow, that's so great. So
before you start, I want to bring up this quote because I know you and I definitely can relate. This is a quote from Zig Ziglar that says, "Success is not a destination, it's a journey." So let's start with that.
Success is a journey because you can't turn it on like a light switch.
Absolutely.
But I started my journey by turning it on like a light switch when I signed up for coaching under Bob Proctor.
Yes.
By doing that, my mentor was Cleona O'Hara, and she helped me get unhacked.
And same here, likewise. Absolutely.
So by doing that, I was able to create 3 books in 2022. And not only did I create them and publish them, but the first one was an award-winning book on data security called #Hacked. The second one, #Hack2, behind me, is a #1 international bestseller that we reached within 12 hours of launch.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And the third book was my contribution to the book called My Year with Bob.
Love that. Did you ever have that in your plans as these are my goals before you started this work? Because I wrote a book as well, and being an author was never on my desired list.
I went to school for electrical engineering. I helped create the internet. And come 9/11, I started working in cybersecurity exclusively. So technology has been something that's been in my blood since the very beginning.
Yes.
I never dreamed that I would become an author.
Likewise.
Let alone an award-winning author. And now I have 3 more books that are on the pipeline and agenda to get done. One of them is called Getting Unhacked.
I love it.
It's karma that you brought me on the show today for choosing greatness as success unhacked. Yeah. Because that's truly what has happened.
So let's talk about this book a little bit and go through these principles, because I truly feel that I've applied them. I know you've applied them, and it really brings out who we're meant to be and how we take life from a different perspective, because we're not taught a lot of these things in school. I know I wasn't.
No.
But now that we
On
know,
purpose.
right, now that we know, we're definitely leading a different path, a path to help others.
Yes.
And going on that path brings what I call success.
Yes.
So let's start with like how Napoleon Hill got started.
Sure, that's a great story. And actually, I think we were both there at the NHI celebration in Andrew Carnegie's mansion.
I wasn't. You were the lucky one.
I was a founder and got invited to Andrew Carnegie's mansion, actually walked down his steps.
Yeah.
We met in his personal library. We were the first group publicly to see his personal library in 170 years.
Wow. Great feeling, I'm sure.
Oh, it was amazing because you see all the principles that he lived by up on the top of the walls near the ceiling.
Right.
And he was absorbing this every day.
I wish I had a picture of it. I would show the audience, but yeah, absolutely. I saw the videos and the pictures.
So Andrew Carnegie was a multimillionaire, and he made it his mission to make as much money as he could in the first half of his life so that he could end up giving it away and helping others. And what he did was he commissioned Napoleon Hill to do research for 20 years on 500 millionaires during the Gilded Age. That's during the Great Depression. And find out what made some people so successful while others were striving to find food just to feed their family. And that's what started the publication for Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich.
Now, we know that even people from today, famous people like Oprah, who else? Kobe Bryant, have used these principles in their lives because they've seen the difference and the impact that they've made on people. We see how they are using it. I mean, Oprah is one of my favorite people, and I know.
So the principles work by universal law, and they work all the time. But the problem is you can't really read this book and understand what it means. A lot of people are lost. They've read it many times and it hasn't changed their lives. But when you apply it on a daily basis, like we have with Napoleon Hill Institute,
yes,
we know the principles and the foundation and the processes that have been developed to make this practical and make it so that it's always recurring.
So let's go through some of the principles and, talk about it in a way where, we can help the audience understand, like, how can they apply it in their lives? And I know it takes a lot of studying. We study every day. So this is not just like, okay, here's the show, here's the principles, now go ahead and go apply them and do them. It's really reading the book, studying every day, and really understanding the difference between not having it, not applying it, and applying it. So we're going to go through each one. And the first one, of course, is definiteness of purpose.
Sure. Definite purpose is, what is your mission? Do you have a goal? You need to have that to define what are you doing so that you can achieve success. What does success look like?
Yeah.
If you have something to focus on, you won't drift.
And when we're drifting, it's because there's no I call it a GPS of life. right? We don't have a direction that we want to go towards. And when we're so bombarded today with the media and everything that's going on outside of us, it is we're so easily distracted.
Yep.
That it becomes every day is another day that you're not making progress in your life. You're just going through the motion. And we know, and I don't want to take too much time because we have 17 principles, but we know that we work on autopilot most of the time. So if we don't have, right, if we don't have a purpose, we don't have a goal or something that we want to achieve,
yes,
then we're working on autopilot, which means every day we're doing the same thing 95% of our day. It's like, just put the car on autopilot and drive, because sometimes
how many times you get in the car and before you know it, you're at your destination and you don't know how you got there.
You just hacked my mind.
That's my forte.
All right. Number 2.
Technology or through the principles, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. And I was going to say the audience can take down these principles if they don't have the book yet, but yeah. So Mastermind Alliance, I love this because this is exactly what you and I are doing right now, right? We're masterminding to bring information out, because we both have the same. I see that as it doesn't come.
Yep.
So success doesn't come without. Finish the sentence next. I see we didn't have enough room.
Come out with a definite purpose and without changing what you've been doing.
Right. And of course, cooperation with each other, right, is essential.
Cooperation is what the mastermind is all about.
That's right.
And two people can come together to connect to the universal mind. They achieve greatness faster.
Absolutely. And we go to number 3, which is really my favorite, applied faith, right? It's a state of mind. It's a state of mind that we can either apply faith or apply fear, but we know that we can't be in the same place at the same time. We must choose one or the other.
When I tell some of my clients that start with me that if they don't have faith enough that we can make change, use my faith, because I know that they're going to experience something different.
Of course. And I do the same.
When it happens, they have that faith for themselves.
That's right. And sometimes it's hard because people have been through so much to believe and to trust that change can happen. But this is where, we've done the work, and we've seen the difference in our life. We are a product of the product. And they can borrow our faith, right? And our belief.
Absolutely.
I love this because you're always going the extra mile.
Thank you, Gigi. Bringing me back on is you going the extra mile.
No, it's okay. I thank you. But how important is this? Because I remember for myself, even when I was working in corporate America, I would drop my son off at 7 a.m. in the morning, and I would be picking him up at 7 p.m. He was the first one in and the last one out. Because I never looked at a job just being a job, right? Because you're there, no matter what job it is, you're providing a service. And when you understand you're affecting other people's lives, whether it be in corporate America, teaching, and you take ownership of that, you'll always go the extra mile.
Well, even if it's not with compensation, even if you're giving service to other people, by helping them out. Yesterday I was shopping at the grocery store and I saw a single mom putting her groceries away. She had her daughter in the cart, and I said, "Please let me take your cart for you and put it away." That's a simple example of going the extra mile, because the more you give, the more you get.
And I'll share an experience that happened to me this morning. I was at a red light in a community, and there's 3 ladies who are setting up the fall pumpkin and the wreath and making it really pretty on the entrance of the community.
Okay.
So I'm at the red light and I'm looking, like, oh, so pretty. And I put my window down. I'm like, guys, you're doing a great job today. And somebody's beeping behind me, going beep, 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 for me to move. I'm like, wait, just need to compliment them first. And it was so nice that, they probably didn't even expect it, but that's going the extra mile.
Absolutely. You went out of your way to make somebody feel good.
Absolutely. Oh, and you get the trophy for this one.
Thank you, Gigi. Yes, having a pleasing personality makes people want to be near you. Because nobody wants to talk to somebody that's always disgruntled and they're always complaining about something or another.
Absolutely. And I don't, not only that, I think we become we magnetize to each other, right? Because a pleasing personality wants to be around people that are fun, make us laugh. Like, you wouldn't have been back here if you weren't a fun person.
That's true.
But I'm just kidding. But I do think that it makes a big difference to when you need help, right? People will offer your help, will offer help because you are putting yourself out there in a pleasing way as well. I just love the stuff we're teaching. All right. Personal initiative, which this is another big one, right? It's not waiting for someone to tell you what to do.
It's what I say leaders do. Leaders are never told how to get things done. They just go get it done. They take the initiative to complete the task that they know needs to be completed.
And everyone can do that. Like, everyone can be a leader. You don't need to have a title to be a leader.
Right.
And to take personal initiative, because I feel like if we are waiting for someone to tell us what to do, then it doesn't motivate you. But if it comes from you, now you're motivated because it's your desire, right? To wait for someone to give you the green light to go to school and go get a degree, let's say.
Sure. Or go to your day job and bring home a paycheck.
What does that mean? So you don't get that green light, you're going to sit back and just wait for it to come to you. So,
yeah, that doesn't work, does it?
The laws don't work that way. So definitely personal initiative truly gets us into action, right?
Right.
And one action leads into another action. And here's another one. You get another trophy for this one. Positive mental attitude is the right mental attitude in all circumstances.
So you can't get anywhere positively if you're always thinking negatively. If everything in the world is wrong, how are you actually going to get ahead?
And, I'll add this because I know we studied it about the law of polarity.
Right.
Right. So, and I catch myself, and this is what we mean about applying what we're teaching. If I have a negative thought, and if it doesn't feel good, I say to myself, what's the opposite of that? We know that when we study the law of polarity, there's an up, there's a down, there's light, there's dark, right? There's big, there's small. Right. Well, same thing with positive and negative. Unfortunately, I'm going to say this, but we're programmed to think negative first because of our belief system, our experiences, what we see on TV.
It's part of our paradigm.
It's part of our paradigm. And what is a paradigm? So you can clarify that for the people that are listening.
Paradigm are teachings that you were brought up with by, could have been your parents or your teachers. Up until the age of 7 years old, the human mind is like a sponge. It just absorbs everything because that's how we're taught to live our lives. So people that are blue-collar workers usually grow up to be blue-collar workers. People that grow up in college graduate families usually end up going to college later on, but my kids didn't. You know, I gave them the choice to choose what they want to do. Everybody should appreciate what they're doing.
Absolutely. I think everyone has, freedom of choice, right? So when you are in a negative mental, position, right?
Yeah.
It's, you have the choice on your own to think of the other side of it.
Well, events are just events. We put the value whether they're good or bad.
Absolutely. And, I use the analogy of a glass half full or half empty, right? You can look at it and you can say, oh, that's half full. And I can look and say, no, that's half empty.
Actually, I changed that.
What did you change it to? Huh?
My glass is refillable.
Okay. It's not overpouring, not overfilling.
Well, if it fills up, I can drain it and fill it up again.
I love it. We're going to take
room for more.
Well, you have a great positive mental attitude, that's for sure. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about having enthusiasm. Right?
Wonderful.
Let's see.
How long is it?
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose. You will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people that we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow. Did you pick that? Because that was just beautiful.
I love, it speaks the truth. It speaks the truth that when we are studying and we become and gain awareness of how we perform, right? How we act, how we behave, and what's driving our behaviors, we get to see and understand that it can be changed. If we don't like the end results, right? The Thinking into Results program, I love that program because it talked about we create the results that we see in our life.
Yes, we do.
And if we create the results, if they're not good results, can we create and they're not good results, can we create the good results if we change? And that's where I think a lot of people, and even myself, at first, it was difficult to say, oh my God, I need to change. But if you don't change, nothing else. First, we have to change. Then our outer world changes. And that was hard for me to take, to understand. Like, wait a minute, I'm creating this? And it was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a different paradigm altogether, isn't it?
Totally.
But you can't take and change what's already inside. You have to create something new.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're doing, is creating a new way to create our reality.
And it's a whole separate world. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Create the version that we want.
The language of you are the star of your movie, or You
Perfect.
create your own story. Like all that was all new to me. I had no idea what that meant. Now I know what that means. All right, so let's continue with the next one. Enthusiasm. I know you had number 8 and repeated, but enthusiasm is faith in action, right? It's that intense emotion that we know from a burning desire. And it's no different than taking the kids and go, we're gonna go to the beach today. And they get so enthused, right? Because they're thinking in their mind of what they're gonna do.
Right.
And from that enthusiasm, they're building a castle because they just want to see what they create. And this is like the journey of creating that castle. Once it's done, I don't know who told me this, but once the castle is done, it's no fun. It's getting to making the castle.
Process of creating it.
Right. And if you have that enthusiasm, it's the faith that pushes you forward to the next step. And when you are challenged and you have, challenges that come, you don't see them as challenges because you're going to be pushing through.
It's
But
part of the journey.
It's part of the journey. As long as you have that burning desire to get it done, right?
Right. And they say while you're on that journey for your success, on the way to the top, take a pause and enjoy the scenery where you are. Because it's not going to last where you are if you keep going. You'll be reaching the top sooner than you know. But wouldn't it be nice to remember the pathway you took to get there?
And the thoughts that come to mind is when I was going into my career, there was no time to enjoy anything. Right? It's like you were running, you weren't even walking. And now it's a whole different way of doing things because now you're definitely enjoying. Like every day there's stuff that I see that I keep learning new, and even through our studying that we do every day, we have an eye opener every day because it's like, wow, this is really happening, and now we recognize it by studying this work. This is a big one, and it really is something that I know I found it difficult at the beginning, but self-discipline in general is creating a new habit.
It's focal.
Right? But where everything begins is with the thought.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that a little bit because this is
well, you have to pick your thoughts. You want to pick the positive ones and avoid the things that don't create your success. They are not useful to you. You don't want to listen to gossip and the news media and the hype that's going on around you. I mean, it's hard to avoid it, but if you can reduce the noise, then you're going to have a much better time at focusing on what it is you want to get done.
Absolutely. And I know, when we have a thought in our mind, and I've studied this in depth, we attract the same thoughts, right? So if we're thinking about making a recipe, making cookies, and now the next thought is what kind of cookies? And the next thought is, okay, you need to go buy them at the store. What ingredients do you need to make the cookies? So what happens is we attract the thoughts that go along with that the initial thought, because everything starts with the thought. So when we say we need to become a master of our thinking, it all starts with the thought.
It's kind of like the decision. When you decide to make the cookies, how to make the cookies comes into your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And self-discipline calls for a balancing of the emotions of your heart. And we have to, I know I learned emotions are truly the drivers of our actions.
Yes.
Right. So when we do have good thoughts, we're ready to party. And when we have bad thoughts, we're ready
Gigi,
to go.
I think you're always ready to party.
Oh boy. Well, thank you. I don't think so. But, it's about the thoughts really control our behavior. Right. And our behavior creates the actions that we take. And if we can be cognizant of what are the thoughts that we're having, because when we say we create our life story, it's from the thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Our
thoughts create our reality. That's why we need to have the discipline to focus on the things that are beneficial.
That we want.
That we want.
And most of the time, we're focusing on the things that we don't want.
So the more you think of the negative, the less positive can come into your mind.
Yeah, and it's not even, can we go deeper and say it's not just negative, it's what we don't want? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be negative, positive.
What I don't want is the negative.
You see it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the yin and the yang.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Shall we go on?
Huh?
Shall we go on?
We will.
I don't want to run out of time.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Accurate thinking. The power of thought is the most dangerous and the most beneficial power available to you, depending on how you use it. Like what we were saying before, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Positive thinking is better than negative thinking.
Socrates came up with a statement when somebody was trying to tell him of an event that happened to a friend of his. And he said, look, did you see this happen? Is this firsthand knowledge? He said no. And Socrates told him, if you say no to any of these things, I don't want to hear it. Is there a good outcome? No. Do you know for certain that this has happened? No. He said, well, you said no 3 times. I don't need to hear this. So, until I see it for myself, I don't want to hear it.
Absolutely.
And that's how you filter out all the nonsense so you can think accurately about what's going on that you want to achieve.
Absolutely true. And surround yourself with people who are thinking
Similarly.
what you and supporting you with what you want to achieve in life, right? That's another thing, because we do get influenced with our thinking by what's in our environment.
Exactly. You become what your closest 5 friends are. If they're successful, you're going to be successful.
I think it was Dr. Wayne Dyer that said, you become what you think about all day long.
Well, that's true.
Right?
That's the accurate thinking going on.
Absolutely.
And controlled attention.
Lead to mastery in any type of human endeavor, because it enables one to focus on the power of the mind upon the attainment of a definite objective and direct it at will. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when we're talking about this, our mind, again, if we don't have a definite purpose and goals to achieve, our mind starts drifting. And when we're drifting,
we're not focused.
We're not focused. And it's so easy to drift with our 5 senses, right? Because using our 5 senses is what we do every day. But if we are focused, now we're using the higher faculties.
Well, that's just it. Do you want to live life as it's given to you? Or do you want to make the life of your dreams? Because if all you want is right here now, then you're going to use your 5 senses all day long and not want anything else. But if you're using your higher faculties, you can change the life that you have and have life give to you on your terms.
Right. And that's something, again, we learn through studying, right? It's not something that we could have done on our own.
No.
You know,
reading the book would not help us.
Correct.
It gives us an idea, but we don't know how to apply it.
And teamwork. So this is all about, there's no I in team. You heard of that, right?
Yep. Every day, twice on Sunday.
That's right. And I also, you know, it brings to mind that if we want to accomplish big things, we can't do it alone.
No, if we want to go fast, you do it by yourself. If you want to go big, you have to do it with others.
Yeah. But I don't think the rewards are the same. I think when you work with others, you get the joy and the satisfaction and the fulfillment.
Not only from yourself, but from your teammates as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we truly rub off each other.
Yes.
Just as you were saying before, when you surround yourself with the people that have the same vision and goal, you become so much more powerful and what
And effective. Yeah.
and effective, exactly. And well, this one definitely, adversity and defeat, right? Individual success is usually in exact proportion to the scope of the defeat the individual as experienced and mastered.
So there's a story about 3 foot from gold, where the miners were finding great success at getting gold, and then all of a sudden the vein stopped. And they couldn't continue because they weren't finding any more gold. So they sold their equipment to, I don't know what you call it, somebody that would buy the resources.
Yeah, I remember.
And he brought in an engineer, a geologist, that said, look, if you mine over here another 3 feet, the vein continues. Or put differently, if you fail, but you keep moving on, you haven't failed. You just found another way it didn't work. Thomas Edison tried 10,000 times until he developed the light bulb.
Yeah.
Where would we be today if he quit after 100 times, after 1,000 times, after 5,000 times? Who could blame him? And I'm pretty sure other people were saying, what are you doing here, Thomas?
Right.
But because of the problems he was having, he actually went into meditation and figured out that it was the oxidation. It was having oxygen next to that heated element that was frying the wire. And that's why he put it in a vacuum, and it lasted.
So, you know, failures are just, they're looked at so differently today. But, you know, when we studied, we understand that failure is just to correct your course of action, right? It's giving you information to say,
Your
okay.
goal has changed.
Correct.
How you get to that goal may change, but not the goal.
Yes. And more importantly is you did not fail. The process wasn't correct. So we are raised to believe if we did something and we weren't successful at it, we were failures in it. And
that was our old paradigm for it.
Correct. Correct. So it's important to understand, first of all, if you don't try and you never fail, you
never start.
You'd never start, right? So accepting that failure is part of the process, and think of failure as just feedback. Feedback to change.
It is feedback because you're continuing along the journey for success. It's only when you give up that it becomes a failure.
You know,
when
Bob,
you accept the defeat, that's the failure.
That's correct. That's correct. And just to, put it into, I remember Bob saying with the little boy, right? The little boy is trying to walk and he falls down and he gets right back up again. And this is how we should continue when we are doing something that's new.
Right.
We're gonna take another short commercial break, and we're gonna come right back and continue with creative vision.
Okay.
Okay.
That was much fun.
It is. Creative vision, right, is developed by the free and fearless use of one's imagination. It is not a miraculous quality. One is gifted or not gifted at birth. So we've learned through studying that the imagination is the most powerful tool that we have to help us vision the goal that we want to achieve.
Absolutely. Einstein once said, intelligence is good, but imagination will take you anywhere.
That's correct. And at the same token, we have the other side of it, which says, oh, imagination is great for kids, for imaginary play, especially being an elementary preschool teacher. It was imagination is for kids. And the truth of the matter is, no matter what we look at today, it was created twice. Once in the imagination,
right,
and once in physical form.
Absolutely.
And if we can tap into that, or we learn how to tap into the imagination to vision the goals that we want to achieve, it makes life so much easier, doesn't it?
Well, it does. And you just have to learn how to use it. Everybody has the ability to use it,
sure,
but they might not understand how to use it yet.
Correct. Well, we're told not to use it anymore after a certain age.
Well, that's
right?
true.
So it's probably building a belief or a paradigm around the fact that imagination is for children. But the truth of the matter is, the more that we
if Henry Ford didn't use his imagination,
right,
we wouldn't have automobiles today.
Exactly. The Wright brothers didn't use their imagination for the airplane, we wouldn't have airplanes today, right? Same thing.
Nikola Tesla, we wouldn't have alternating current.
So, again, this is stuff in the book that we learn it from a different view, and from a different perspective, and we're able to use it and apply it. For example, like writing your books, right? So now you're getting creative, and creative vision comes from that. Comes from an imagination of a world of infinite possibilities, because we're the ones who can say, I always use the language, we're the ones who put the brakes on. Either you use it or you lose it, right?
And that's the fear factor.
Exactly.
Not having faith to move forward.
Exactly. This is very, very important as well, right? Having a sound health begins with a health consciousness, a sound health consciousness. And, this is talking about just as financial success begins with prosperity consciousness. Absolutely. I will say from the knowledge that I've gained, sound health is in place when there's no fear. When there's fear, the 6 ghosts of fear, right, brings us to a different level of health. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense, and I've experienced it with my family. But for me, when I was in the Navy, I crushed 4 discs in my back.
Wow.
And they wanted to operate on my back through my stomach. And I said, will I lose sensation in my legs? And they said, most assuredly. And I said, I don't want that. And today, I am fully recovered, but never had surgery in my life because of thinking of sound health. And Bob would have called that being an unconscious competent.
But you also made a decision that you felt within you, right? It wasn't you left.
Yes,
you left it all to somebody outside of you. It's you had the feeling. You used your intuition, your gut feeling of you asked the right questions, right? I think that makes a big. I mean, I know I did when I went through my journey with my health, and it just when you take ownership and you make a decision, you feel good with whatever outcome it is. Versus I've heard many times when people say, oh, I should not have listened. I should have, listened to my gut feeling. It wasn't the right thing, but I went anyway because I'm not the professional. And I have to say, listen to your gut because it's usually the right answer.
All the time. Yes.
Okay, now we'll go to the next one. So budgeting time and money are precious resources. We sure know that. And a few people striving for success ever believe they possess either one in excess. So talk to us about that a little bit. We can't budget time. It's very hard to budget time. We know that, right?
You can't control time, but you can control activities that you put in your day.
And let me just make it clear. All my life, I grew up with the term, well, not all my life, but I've heard it over and over again, time management.
There is no such thing as time management.
Let's make that clear. You're managing the task, not the time.
One of the things I learned when I wrote my first book is if I applied a little bit of effort every day, that task gets done quickly. Whereas if I'd have set a goal that by the end of the month I want to have a chapter written, it would have taken until the end of the month to get that chapter written. But instead, I probably wrote 3 chapters. So by doing smaller increments of time and managing your activities throughout the day, you're much more productive than anybody else.
And let's add self-discipline, right? Because you're making a commitment to yourself and you're getting it done no matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what. And the last one is habits, right? Habits. Yes. And establishing good habits, positive habits that lead to peace of mind and health and financial security. The habits are stored like programs in our subconscious mind. And we've learned, and we continue to learn, that when you change those habits, you create new ones, or you replace them with new ones.
Absolutely.
You see yourself doing different things, and you're not on autopilot any longer. Which now you're in control, because if you're on autopilot, you're not in control.
No, your subconscious is.
Your subconscious is. So changing those programs, people, I know I never knew what subconscious and conscious, conscious we know, but subconscious, I never knew that is where all the programs are stored.
Absolutely.
And we learned through autosuggestion and through this program and this studying that we can change those habits. They can be changed if you say so. If you're willing to change is the big thing.
If you're committed to applying these new principles and processes, you can make new habits in sometimes as short as 30 days.
Absolutely. And I tell you, there's so many different modalities out there that it's even sooner. But again, it's the person saying, I'm ready for change. And sometimes I know, for me personally, I was ready for change when I hit rock bottom with my health. It was like, it's time for change, whether I like it or not, if I want to live this life, right? And it wasn't easy, but it can be done. You did it. I did it. Many people within the organization have done it. And we see how happier, peaceful they are because they're in control.
Right. Instead of letting life deal to you on its terms, you're making life deal to you on your terms.
On your terms. And I say, when things come from you is when your heart and mind is at peace. When someone is telling you or you're being dictated to what to do,
right?
It's like, and if you don't want to do it, there's no peace, right?
Absolutely.
So changing habits, it's not easy, but it can be done if you're committed to it. So here's your magic question for the day. You ready?
Oh, sure.
What 3 tips can you share for launching success?
So the very first tip is make a decision. Make a decision that you're going to start and change. When you decide, maybe it's decide to join one of us as a coach, as one of our clients. How that can happen is provided to you. A lot of people say, I don't have the money. Well, to be honest with you, until you make the decision,
you don't need to have the money.
Right? So decision is tip number 1. Have a goal. And when you reach that goal, set a higher goal. Because no goal is unachievable. Look, people thought that they couldn't run faster than 5-minute miles. And now we're running sub 5-minute miles. People thought that we couldn't climb Mount Everest. And how many teams have gone up on Mount Everest?
It must be a goal that they don't know how to do, because it's not a goal if you already know how to do it and how to get there, right?
Getting a new car is not a goal.
It's not a goal.
That's an activity.
Let's make that clear.
A definiteness of purpose. Okay? That's that burning desire for that goal. My definiteness of purpose is changing the world in both security and free thinkers. I'm getting people unhacked. That's why I'm writing Getting Unhacked. And I have 10 NHI coaches contributing as well.
Absolutely. And when you are unhacked, you're definitely much happier, right?
Absolutely.
Well, here's the final.
I'm going to give you one more.
Go ahead.
Because I always go the extra mile, right?
I'm ready for it.
Focus.
Absolutely.
Because when you focus on it, what you're focusing on is the attention that's going to bring back the success to you.
Agree 100%. And for the final question, how does one know applying these principles will work for them?
So that was brought up to me too when I first made the decision to join. And my mentor, now the president and founder of Napoleon Hill Institute.
Our mentor.
Our mentor. Okay, thank you. I stood corrected.
Okay.
She said to me, even if you don't have the faith, I have the faith. Take my faith until you learn that the faith can be yours too. Because these principles are built on universal laws. And by being universal laws, you can't avoid the success that is offered from them. It's like trying to avoid gravity.
Absolutely. This was beautiful. I thank you so much. This is definitely success getting unhacked if these principles are applied. And we know for a fact they work. They work because it's 25 years of work that Napoleon Hill has done that has brought us these are the secrets. And we know them, but I think we don't apply them. And that's why Napoleon Hill Institute has been created to help people apply these principles in their life so they can live the life that they want. Well, Albert, you did a wonderful job, and I thank you so much. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they reach you?
They can reach me at Albert@quantumshiftadvisor.com. And if they reach out to me, I have a free PDF with some of the success principles written by Napoleon Hill.
Beautiful. Well, everyone, you heard that. So send him an email and reach out if you'd like to learn more about it. Thank you again, Albert, and we will see you next time. Have a great evening, and I appreciate you for coming on.
It's my pleasure, Gigi. Thank you for inviting me.
You're so welcome. Bye-bye, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.